Hey, if you're trying to craft a attractive investment project or fund your company or buy some real estate and you're bringing investors together, here's some important tips about crafting a good deal. One of the first things to pay attention to is you've got to highlight your unique selling points. What makes you different than the market in general? You're starting a business. Why are you better than the competition? You're buying real estate. What about the demographics really stand out to make your opportunity amazing compared to others competing for investors? This is important to think about. Another consideration is really showing the market potential. One of the best strategies is to say, hey, this is a $16 billion market, and all we need is 1%. You're drawing the picture of there's this massive amount of demand. And you know what? All you need is some small little piece for your business to be successful. It is best to address investor concerns before they actually become concerns. Think about things like exit strategies. How's the investor going to get their money back at the end of the day, and how long is it going to take? Their interest is risk and reward. What is the risk of investing with you and your project? Because there's always risk in investing. And what's the reward? The higher the risk, the higher the reward. I know guys that will invest in 10x deals. They expect to 10 times their money, but you know what? A lot of the times they don't work out. There's people out there that have an appetite for high risk investments. And then there's the other side that are traditionally buying CDs from a bank. They're looking for safe, secured business investment, maybe not so much, but real estate investing, loan investing actually does start to make a lot of sense because they're risk averse. When you're crafting your deal, you're crafting what you're going to present to investors, having the best branding and presentation look is so very important so that you're showing your best face to any investors, to any business partners, to anybody that's looking at you and say, you know what, I want to do business with this person because what they got going on looks amazing. And another really important part about crafting a good deal is becoming a storyteller. You're telling the story about why you're doing what you're doing, how you're in the best position to make it happen, to get ahead, to compete against everybody else. The position of the real estate, the position of the company, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it has to be a good story that has this climax of, and then you make a bunch of money, because that's at the end of the day what investors are really looking for. When you're setting up an investment, one of the most important things to do is make sure you got the right attorney. At the end of the day, the legal documents and how your company comes together and what legal agreements you have with investors is make it or break it in terms of your own risk. And at the end of the day, you've got to make sure that the legal documentation is unbelievably sound. You're working with good legal counsel. At the end of the day, sometimes things go wrong, and that's okay. It happens. It doesn't mean it's your fault. Sometimes it's just the market in general, the economy. Sometimes there's just things beyond your control. So you got to make sure that even with the best of intentions and beliefs, that you're protecting yourself, you're protecting your family, you're protecting all that you've tried to build over the years. And that's going to come down to the right legal protections, like right legal documentation, and the right approach. Look, you've got to avoid those legal pitfalls. A handshake deal is worth exactly that. It's a handshake. You have to make sure that everything's in writing. But at the same time, there's a ton of regulations and rules and laws that really affect most businesses, but even beyond the business. If you're raising capital or seeking financing, there's a bunch of laws that apply there too. You got to make sure that you're telling the truth. Doesn't matter if you're getting financing from the bank or from investors. Fraud is lying. Don't do that. You can, of course, paint the best picture that you can as long as you are always truthful. That's one of the biggest things that I could ever tell anybody to make sure that you're protected is being honest is one of the best ways to make sure that you're protected. It's even good to work with attorneys that they know your industry. They've been there and they've done that. They're there to actually help you avoid the pitfalls before you even get to them. That's why working with attorneys that are knowledgeable and experienced, not just in general. We've all seen the old attorney that's 60 years old and probably should be out on his boat fishing rather than in the office. But you know what? Just because they're old doesn't mean that they've got the right experience to make sure that you're protected. So always interview any legal counsel, any attorney that you're going to work with, and your biggest, most important questions are, what's your experience? And of course, what's your availability? And the final question, what does it cost? You know, if you ever wanted to work with any of my law firms, I got to tell you, everything that we do is on a fixed fee basis because traditionally attorneys, they bill by the hour. And you know what happens when anybody bills by the hour? They really pad the time and make sure that they spend the most amount of hours to make sure that you're protected at your expense. That's one reason why we've done everything fixed fee to try to avoid those types of conflicts. And we have a ton of experience when it comes to putting together investment projects and business and real estate and just trying to make things happen. So if you ever needed any good legal counsel to make sure that you're doing things right, that you're protecting yourself, you're protecting your family and your business, definitely reach out to us over at crowdfundinglawyers.net.